It was supposed to be a simple date night. Me and my wife had been so busy all week that we barely saw each other. She suggested we go catch a late showing at our favorite old theater downtown. It was one of those places that looked like it belonged in another time. The brick exterior was faded, the marquee lights flickered, and the inside smelled like popcorn that had been soaking into the carpet for decades. We bought our tickets, grabbed some snacks, and headed in. The theater was almost empty except for one man sitting in the very back row. He wore a faded gray hoodie pulled low over his face. He sat perfectly still, hands in his lap. Something about him made me uneasy, but I brushed it off. We took seats near the middle, far away from him. The previews played, the lights dimmed, and I tried to relax, but every so often I would glance back and I could swear he was watching us. Not the screen, just us. About halfway through the movie, I leaned toward my wife to whisper something. That was when I noticed he was gone. His seat was empty. I figured maybe he had gone to the restroom, but when I checked the aisle, no one had left through the exit doors. Minutes later, my wife nudged me. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Do you hear that?" At first, I thought it was just part of the movie's sound, but then I heard it clearly. Slow, steady breathing coming from right behind us. My skin prickled. I turned in my seat quickly, expecting to see him. But the row behind us was empty. Then the screen flickered. The movie suddenly cut to a black and white image, grainy like it was from an old film reel. It was a shot of the audience. But it was not live. The people in the image were dressed like they were from the 1960s, their faces blank, their eyes fixed on the screen. My stomach dropped when I saw the back row. The man in the hoodie was there, staring directly into the camera. His face was pale, his mouth slightly open like he was about to speak. The image vanished, and the movie picked up again as if nothing had happened. My wife's hand clamped onto mine so hard her nails dug into my skin. I turned around again, and now he was sitting 3 rows behind us, head tilted just slightly, still watching. We did not wait for the credits. We grabbed our things and left quickly, our footsteps echoing too loudly in the empty aisle. But when we pushed open the door into the lobby, it was silent. No staff, no other customers. Just the faint hum of the projector still running in the theater we had left. We hurried outside into the night air, but even then I could not shake the feeling that he was following us. I kept glancing over my shoulder the entire walk to the car, but the streets were empty. The next day, I checked the local news archives. I wish I had not. There was an article from years ago about a man who had been found dead in that same theater during a late-night showing. The picture with the article showed him in a hoodie, the same hoodie I had seen just rows away from us. When I was 17, me and my 2 friends, Ryan and Caleb, went to see a late-night movie at the theater near our neighborhood. It was the kind of place where you could buy your tickets from a kiosk and walk straight in without anyone checking. The lobby was bright. The smell of popcorn filled the air, and the rain outside made it feel like the perfect night to be indoors. We picked seats near the middle of the theater with maybe 10 other people scattered around. About halfway through the movie, Caleb whispered that he was going to the restroom. He slipped out quietly while Ryan and I kept watching. 10 minutes passed, then 15. I was starting to wonder what was taking him so long. Just as I turned to Ryan to say something, I saw Caleb coming back down the aisle. But something was off. His face looked pale, almost like he had seen something. He sat down and leaned in. His voice was low, almost shaking. "There's a guy in the bathroom just standing in the corner," he said. Not moving, not saying anything, just staring. Before we could react, I noticed movement at the far side of the theater. A man was walking down the aisle slowly, his head turning toward each row as he passed. When he reached our row, he stopped. It was the same man Caleb had seen in the bathroom. He didn't say a word. He didn't even blink. He just stood there watching us for what felt like forever before finally walking to the very back row and sitting down. The rest of the movie was a blur. We kept glancing back, and every time his head was turned toward us. When the credits rolled, we practically ran for the exit. We had just stepped into the lobby when a police officer approached us. "Did you see a man in a black jacket about 6'2" with a shaved head?" he asked. We told him yes, that he had been in our theater. The officer's expression hardened. "He's wanted for questioning in connection with the murders of 23 teenage boys over the past 4 years," the officer said. "If you see him again, do not approach. Call 911 immediately." I never went back to that theater again, and to this day I still wonder if he was watching us for a reason. I was 18 when I started working at the local movie theater. It was not a big chain, just an older building that had been around for decades. The carpets were worn, the smell of butter and soda syrup clung to everything, and the walls had this hollow echo when you walked the halls late at night. Most nights were easy. Sell tickets, sweep popcorn, wipe down counters, go home. But the late closing shifts were different. Once the final movie started and the lobby went empty, the whole place felt wrong. You could hear things you normally wouldn't. The low hum of the soda fountain, the faint rattle of a vent. Sometimes footsteps in a hallway you knew was empty. One Thursday night, I was assigned to clean Theater 6 after the last showing. I had my broom in hand, working my way up the aisles when I heard it. A slow scratching sound coming from the left wall. It wasn't like a mouse or a rat. This was longer, dragging like fingernails pulling across wood. I froze and listened. Then I heard it again. I knelt down by the wall trying to figure out if maybe it was a loose panel shifting. That was when I heard something else. Breathing, slow, steady, and close. The second I leaned closer, it stopped. I told myself I was imagining it, but over the next few weeks it happened again. Sometimes during cleanup, sometimes in the middle of a showing when I was checking the aisles. Always the same spot, always stopping the moment I got too close. One night, my manager decided to check it out herself after I mentioned it again. When she came back, her face was pale. She muttered something about calling the owner and walked off without explaining. 2 days later, the police showed up. They blocked off the hallway to Theater 6 and brought in tools. They removed a section of the wall behind a storage closet, revealing a hidden panel. Behind it was a narrow opening leading into a cramped makeshift room no bigger than a walk-in closet. It reeked of sweat and old food. The floor was layered with filthy blankets. There were piles of water bottles, empty snack wrappers, and a cracked flashlight. On the far wall, taped up in uneven rows, were dozens of Polaroid photographs. The pictures showed children. Some were smiling like it was a normal family photo. Others looked scared, their eyes red from crying. The dates scrawled in pen on the bottom of each picture were from more than 20 years ago. One officer recognized the woman in a few of the background shots. Thin, pale, dark hair pulled back tightly. She matched the description of a woman suspected of kidnapping multiple children in the late 90s. She had never been caught. They believed she had been living in the theater for years, moving through crawl spaces and service corridors that most of us never even knew existed. The worst part was, she was gone. The blankets were still warm, the food wrappers fresh. Whoever she was, she had left only hours before the police searched the space. I still work at the theater, and some nights, when it gets really quiet, I think I hear that faint sound again. Fingernails dragging slowly across the wall,